We know that many of you really enjoy watching the Meekum auctions here on NBCSN. Well, that's the man. That's the CEO of the company, Dana Meekum, who is incredibly busy. He also doubles as president of Millers at Milwaukee. These beautiful old cars. You may remember a couple of years ago, Townsend and David Hobbs got to drive one of those classic Millers worth several $1 million. You did a good job, T-Bell, by the way. You returned it safely. But this you will get to see go under the hammer. This is the legendary actor Steve McQueen's car. This 1976 Porsche will go under the hammer at the Meekum Monterey auction August 15. The next one coming up, though, here on NBCSN is Harrisburg, and that is at the end of the month. Kev?
Michael Andretti calling. Ryan Briscoe has been released from the hospital. Good news is you're okay. Looks like it got away from you down low.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a pretty crazy restart, you know, with a few of us up there on really old tyres, not really old, but used tyres with some pickup on them. And then, you know, the guys behind us all on stickers, they had tons of grip, and we all sort of ran down into turn 3, and Canard threw it down the inside at the very last second and just took all my air away. And next thing, it just felt like I was in an aeroplane, and the car just wouldn't follow the road, and it just came around on me. So really caught me by surprise, but it's a shame we're out of it. Had a really good car today. We had a couple of mistakes or problems in the pit stops, but we were fighting back hard.
All right, they're fighting hard at the front right now. Thankfully, Ryan Briscoe is okay.
He is okay. Now watch this. This is where the crash occurred on the last restart. Down here into 3 as they're all scrambling for positions. Ray Hall goes through on the inside. They're 3 wide into turn 3. Justin Wilson's in the middle of the pack, getting loose and getting unstable. On board with Andretti.
They say yellow breeds yellows, and they're certainly trying hard to prove that theory right here as Marco is charging hard up on the outside. He wants clean air. He's going hard.
He goes around Justin Wilson, returning to the Andretti team. Here's Newgarden on Canaan on the inside in the black and blue car. Back on board with TK. Canaan, the 2-time winner here at Milwaukee, does the chasing now. But that was good, quick progress from Joseph Newgarden.
Well, he went right around the outside of about 3 people on turns 1 and 2. Went very wide and pulled it off.
He's got the bit between his teeth after losing all those positions on the pit stop. Now he's back up to second. He's got a couple lapped cars in between him and Bourdais that he's got to clear, but it looks, Townsend, like the fresh tires are key. Oh, as we see Sage get loose coming off turn 4.
We're going to go on board here with Graham Rahal. Watch this. Dixon in front. He dives down low. Now he's working on Marco. And watch these guys in front. They are all over the place trying to hang on.
But up ahead, you may have seen Newgarden weave through, get by Dixon, get by Hunter-Reay, and just take off.
Paul, Graham Rahal continues to demonstrate just racecraft of almost freakish ability to know where the cars are around him.
I don't know if that's racecraft or he just does not care and I'm going through no matter what.
He does the Paul Tracy approach.
Yeah, but he doesn't hit anybody. You just never see contact.
So Bourdais, who's kind of out on his own, he's on a strategy of his own. Last pitting on lap 102, we're racing lap 147. Newgarden, of the majority that pitted on lap 117, is that leader of that group in second in this race. We ride with Ray Hall. Let's listen and enjoy this for a moment.
And that's where Graham has to be careful. Sorry, Lee, I know you want to hear the audio, is when you go low and when Sage Karam crosses down low and takes the air from you, you can shoot up the track. Now he's got it gathered back up. We can listen.
I'll tell you one thing, Sage has been driving a very good race. He's very quick. He's up here running with a lot of experienced guys, as we see Tony Kanaan with his teammate right behind him. But Sage has done a very good job today, and Graham is all over the back of him.
And he's done an outstanding job. Got off a bit of a slow start yesterday afternoon because he's a winner here in Indy Lights, but nevertheless, it's a very different thing.
A little bit of politicking there. Rahal saying the Chevy's so fast on the straightaway, but you know, he's all over him in the corners. So,
well, you don't know what downforce Sage has chosen for this race, if he's a little trimmed out or if he's higher downforce. So
I can answer that question for you. In practice today, Sage Karam had a little less downforce than his teammates, and we had the exact same scenario where Graham Rahal was chasing him, could not pass him on the straightaway. So Sage Karam decided I want to carry a little extra downforce later on in the race because I have found that I couldn't pass people on lower downforce. I needed to stay low in the corners and maintain position.
Well, as big as a hole as these cars punch in the air, you really do get a tow, even on a short oval like Milwaukee.
And I'll tell you one thing, as we see these guys all right here on fresh tires, Bourdais has a 10-second lead now on used tires.
And Hydroxy Cup machine's working beautifully. Here it is. The veteran Frenchman, the 4-time IndyCar Series champion.
He is long gone.
He's not only in a strategy of his own, he's in a class of his own.
That just goes to show what clean air is worth versus fresh rubber.
Look at the gap to second place.
11 seconds now. Newgarden over Kanaan in third, Dixon fourth, Pagenaud back there in the yellow and white Team Penske entry. Then Ryan Hunter-Reay, Sage Karam has dropped, and then Rahal in eighth, Andretti and Wilson in the top 10.
Paul, you're right. Bourdais last time 160 miles an hour. Newgarden in clean air was down at 154.
Maybe Jimmy knows something we don't know, and everybody else. But this guy is hooked up.
You're 12 seconds ahead of him in second place.
Right now, like Jimmy's saying, you're 12 seconds. Okay, now pace yourself. You got a half a track lead now in the span of 5 laps. He doesn't need to do anything but sit here and conserve his tires.
Well, if he can build a big enough gap, then that pit stop's not going to be as painful under green flag conditions. Further back, Montoya and Carpenter both pitted at the tail end of that last yellow, so Montoya and Carpenter certainly one stop to make it to the end, and that could factor heavily depending on how we play with yellows.
Well, Pablo Montoya actually just returned from Mexico, where he was part of a panel, an expert panel at the FIA World Motorsport Council meeting. It was the first time that kind of a meeting has ever been held outside of Europe, and JPM was there, recognized by the FIA for his talent, his success, and just the diverse range of cars that he has raced on a global scale. So good for him.
How many super license points did he earn for that?
I was just going to say, could he get a super license?
I'll tell you what, talk about super drive. Now it's 15 seconds, 16 seconds. If these guys aren't careful, Bourdais could come around and lap them all.
Sage Karam and Ryan Hunter-Reay side by side, and this looks to be either somebody that's had in the fence or
Coletti.
Maybe it's motor. That's a Chevy.
This is race leader's teammate.
Great job
This is Sebastian Bourdais' teammate.
Lane, guys.
It's day over for Stefano Coletti, the man from Monaco. Whoa! Rahal and Sage Karam almost come together.
Sheepish.
You won't find two younger guys that have more bravery than those two guys and almost matching red cars.
Well, there's one other, and he's right in front of Graham Rahal. That's Marco Andretti.
Watch this. Watch Sage Karam.
He got in the gray, got loose, hanging on, and then Graham Rahal was there to pounce, almost bounced wheel-to-wheel off of him. As we watch the replays, Sage is out in the gray. Graham says, I'm coming. And you don't get any closer than that.
Was close.
And that was a little Fontana-esque.
And already Sebastian Bourdais has made his way by Justin Wilson. Has lapped the Andretti driver as he just pitted. This man here, though, a 33-time IndyCar race winner. Can he make it 34 today? those of you just joining us, you're looking at that green and black hydroxy-cut car. Sebastian Bourdais is about to put a lap on one Pablo Montoya. And Bourdais, the veteran Frenchman, won here at the Milwaukee Mile back in 2006. And in that year, one of his 4 championship victories, led the points from start to finish for the entire season. And the man that he's about to try and put a lap down, Juan Pablo Montoya, is doing that this year. In 2015, Montoya has led every round of the championship. We need to update you, though, as to the status of Will Power involved in that accident with Ryan Briscoe. How is he?
Well, the good news is that Will Power is okay. He says no ill effects from the crash. Will, it looked like you almost got around on the outside.
Yeah, I saw it start to spin, and I thought I kind of gassed it a bit. I thought I was going to get by him, but unfortunately I didn't. He clipped me, and ended our day.
What's the mindset knowing that this has been a year where these kind of things have been happening? How do you bounce back from that?
Yeah, I guess you can't get frustrated. You just got to keep moving on, and and eventually it'll change. Have one go for it. So just got to keep focused and move on to the next one.
You're very vocal about the racing style in Fontana. What do you think about the racing style here?
Yeah, it was actually pretty hard to pass here. Oh, there's the accident. Okay. I did go in first. I thought I went in backwards, but yeah, it's quite difficult to pass. Obviously, there's a lot more downforce this year, so when you get close, you lose a lot. But we were kind of in the thick of it.
All right, Bourdais in for his stop, Katie.
Yeah, and before this race, Sebastian Bourdais had only led 21 laps in 2015. Now he comes in for a stop from the lead. They said no adjustments on this drive. They know they got to get back out as soon as possible.
Everything was orderly there for Bourdais and the KVSH team. So we'll see how it shakes out. And Helio Castroneves continues his run and his chase to try and get as high as he can from starting last, Kev.
But his forward momentum is halted at the 11th position. That's where he was before he came in, and he's still going to have to do one more stop unless there is a lot of yellow. Castroneves is back out.
If you weren't with us in the qualifying show, the Team Penske guys, for whatever reason, did not get this car to the tech inspection in the allotted time. And Helio Castroneves was unable, as per the rules, to take part in qualifying, hence starting 24th and last. Tony Kanaan has had a great race today. The veteran is second and pressing on.
On board here with Kanaan as you see Hunter-Reay battling up the track. That's Newgarden. Here's a pass.
That just goes to show you, Townsend, how strong new tires are.
Yeah.
These guys have been running hard. They don't have a lot of laps on the tires, but as soon as a guy comes out with fresh tires, he just blows by.
Well, and Hunter-Reay in a big hurry to get his lap back, and that should do it. So that puts Hunter-Reay at the tail end of the lead lap as Newgarden continues to lead from Kanaan from Dixon.
And where is the tail end of that lead lap? Well, it's with Ryan Hunter-Reay, as Townsend just said, in 14th. So everybody behind is a lap down. We've had retirements with Pippa Mann, James Jakes, Ryan Briscoe, Will Power, Jack Hawksworth was in very, very early. Stefano Coletti is out as well, as we know. We just saw that. So the attrition rate has been rather high here at the Milwaukee Mile.
So as we see this race play out, if we get a late race caution inside the last 10 laps, Townsend, do you take tires? Because I'm coming in to get tires.
I think if you're not in the lead, as Bourdais just proved with clean air, I think you think long and hard about clean rubber, new rubber, and especially figuring out how many cars are on the lead lap. Right now there's 13 cars on the lead lap. If it's something like that at the end, I think you take a chance.
Here we go, Bourdais on Juan Pablo Montoya. This is for 10th. So he checks another one off his list. Charlie Kimball in the Novolog Ganassi car. The Chevrolet immediately ahead, ready to check another one off his list.
Look at the mid-corner speed on fresh tires. Look at the speed difference on fresh tires versus used.
Well, he was so fast on old tires. You put new rubber on top of that, and he's a rocket ship. He's in a class of his own right now.
Gabby Chavez, the next one on the list. The 98 car for Brian Herter Autosport. Watch this green machine.
And if you're Sebastian Bourdais, this is the best time in racing. You're so much faster than the field. You're having a blast, and it's so easy to work your way through.
You told me it was going to be hard to pass pre-race. You said, there's going to be no passing.
Well, ask Sage Karam how hard it is to pass.
As he gets past.
It's good stuff.
Bourdais now is up.
Keith Higgins +5.
Bourdais now up to 7. Chasing Carlos Munoz. How far can he go on this run?
He's right there, like the leader's just in front of him, half a straightaway.
What a display this has been.
That's for 6th.
On board with Castro Neves. Elio's back in 16th after that last stop.
Coming to you looking.
So up front, race leader, Joseph Newgarden. Tony Kanaan doing the chasing. Marco Andretti's in good shape in 3rd at the moment. All of those drivers on the same strategy call, all last pitting on lap 117. Likewise for Dixon. Bourdais the odd man out, and we're about to see Bourdais arrive on the scene pretty rapidly here.
Well, he doesn't need to push too hard because a lot of these guys are all going to pit in the next 5 laps, I'd guess. So he's got a fast car, but it's going to open up in front of him.
Championship is mixing up nicely as far as points, willpower. This was a day he did not need with that non-finish. He will lose his 2nd place in the championship as we watch Bourdais go alongside Scott Dixon, and just like that he blows by a 3-time champion.
Well, the guy's on fire, man. I'll tell you what, if he catches the leaders here before they pit, he could put everybody a lap down.
What a display. Katie asked Jimmy Vasser a little earlier, why did you bring him in? Oh, sorry, why didn't you bring him in? Why did you leave him out on that particular caution? And he said, well, we think we're doing the right thing. We'll see. What do you think, Jan?
Well, the interesting thing about Sebastian Bourdais, because of this different strategy, he does not have to save any fuel whatsoever, but the cars all around him are trying to save some fuel to get within a window to make that one more stop. So not only does he have a great handling car, he also doesn't have to worry at all about fuel, and other people around him definitely do.
I tell you what, I like to drive in that style. Just hammer down, go as fast as you can go. You know, this fuel-saving stuff was never really my thing. So I like what Bourdais, his game plan here, that Jimmy's, the strategy they set up.
Sage Karam on the left-hand side. His guys are working awfully slow there. We think he might have gotten into the wall with the right rear as the toe link looks to be, well, they had the tire loose, so it was pivoting around.
He came in very slowly too, Townsend. Very slow. There was no sense of urgency there at all. What a shame for the young man, because he had another good run coming off a 5th. Look at the green machine. Here we go. Newgarden, rather I should say Bourdais goes through. This is Newgarden coming into the pits. So Bourdais clears Marco Andretti. Is Joseph.
And Joseph has been happy with the car. They're not looking to make any changes. They're hoping that they have a nice clean pit stop. They've had some that haven't been quite as quick. And 8.9, again, you would think maybe a little bit faster, but towards the end of the race, the fuel does not flow quite as quickly.
Bourdais is going to have a lap lead now on Newgarden as he gets by.
And to Jan's point earlier, they're going to have to.
Newer tires than you are.
They're going to have to run lean to make it to the end. It's 65 laps to the end of the race, and that's a long ways to go.
Clear.
On one set of tires and one tank of fuel, David.
Absolutely. He's going for the lead now. He's going for the lead on Tony Kanaan, and he still has to pit. Maybe pulls off this lap or the next, but he will definitely be a lap down as he goes for the lead. Straight by.
How about that, Hobbo?
Clear.
It's absolutely been extraordinary. His performance on the last set of tyres after that caution, only pulled out a 17-second lead. Then he comes in and puts the new tyres on, and as Townsend said, the car's a rocket ship.
Yeah, but now we've got 16 laps on these tires, and his car just works so well down low. He seems to find grip where nobody else can.
That is very, very impressive. To come out of the pits in like 10th or 12th and pass every single car legitimately. Now he's got a 2 or 3 second lead, and everybody else is going to pit. Incredible.
Newgarden making his way back, trying to make an impression here on Marco Andretti, and does so. Scott Dixon in.
And remember, for Scott Dixon, we asked that question about what about the strategy when he pitted, and Sebastian Bourdais did not. Now we're seeing how that played out. Graham Rahal making his stop as well. It's a case where Scott Dixon will now be another driver that's going to have to save fuel to the end, and Bourdais does not.
Very tight pit exit here. Winding around the inside there. Tony Kanaan is in.
Kanon's had a good run today. He's had a good car throughout most of the weekend. He was confident coming in. Sunoco fuel, and this should be the last stop for Kanon. He'll have to save a little bit. Marco Andretti now. We see the Snapple car hit the pit lane. It's been a strong second half of this race for Marco Andretti. He was running third before this sequence of pit stops began. 50 miles an hour. He's got a clean in. He's going to have a clean out. Marco trying to get that first win since Iowa back 4 years ago. And any issues on this stop? So far, so good. No changes. Andretti back out.
A little shake of the head there from Marco Andretti, though, as he exits. Meanwhile, Sebastian Bourdais on the right-hand side of your screen as Carlos Munoz for Andretti Autosport pits. Bourdais now boasts, just like that, a 12.5-second lead over Charlie Kimball. This has been a day, quite the day, for KVSH Racing. Getting very close to the 200-lap mark. This race has flown by with just 2 cautions for 26 laps. And it has been dominated by 2 drivers, Joseph Newgarden and Sebastian Bourdais. Between them, they've led more than 170 laps.
Tell you what, there's nobody that has a better car on track right now than Bourdais. We talked about the clean air. He had clean air, pulled out a 17-second lead, pitted, came out in dirty air in a mob of traffic, drove by everybody, and now has a 15-second lead again.
Well, and it is put up to 7th place, a lap down. Now, Bourdais will have to make one more stop, we think, as Charlie Kimball hits pit lane.
Now, this timing is a bit better for Charlie Kimball. He won't have to wait necessarily quite as long for the fuel. We're watching at the front. They want a little bit more front wing, and yes, they gave him quite a bit more front wing. Give him the balance he wants, and some Sunoco fuel. He should be good to the end.
So I think the question here, Paul, is can Joseph Newgarden go 65 laps at Milwaukee on a tank of fuel?
Well, the question really is these guys that are now a lap down, Kanon, Dixon, Rahal, Andretti, that were all front runners, they're a lap down to Bourdais. If it goes yellow, they might continue to stay a lap down.
Yeah.
Been a terrific day for Joseph Newgarden. Career pole position #1, has led the most laps to this point. But can he construct a result, a good result? He too, his car's been working beautifully. On one of those restarts, he went past about 3 or 4 cars in the first 2 turns on the stretch heading down to turn 3. Montoya is in for his final stop of the day.
And he's had to change the strategy because of the pit speed penalty earlier, but he's still got a chance, even though he's been running 14th, 15th in that range, as we see Ed Carpenter, who's on a similar strategy and was up to 3rd right before him. The others that just pitted are going to have to save. Marco Andretti was told the number, and he sounded like, whoa, that's going to be very difficult to make. Montoya is going to be able to run hard the rest of the way.
I would much rather run wide open and just go as fast as I can than try to make a number on an oval and be coasting.
So we got 2 guys on the same stretch of the track. Sebastian Bourdais is fast approaching Ryan Hunter-Reay and is about to have a lap on the entire field. Something you did in Indy Lights, didn't you, mate?
No, we did, but this is different. This is IndyCar. These are the big boys. But I'll tell you, it's a special feeling. That Indy Lights race went green the entire time.
Come out behind you with fresh tires.
But to your point, Paul, if he does get to Hunter-Reay and a yellow comes out, then he'll have a lap on the field.
One thing we
even when he stops
would like to say, folks, is that we understand, we know that there are some audio issues that you're experiencing at your end. We are doing everything to rectify and resolve that situation here from Milwaukee as soon as we can. Thanks for your understanding. gorgeous afternoon here in Milwaukee. Fans enjoying IndyCar. You can enjoy Formula One next weekend here on your home of motorsport, NBCSN, with the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's on CNBC. CNBC next weekend for the Hungarian Grand Prix from the Hungaroring. That's Sunday, July 26th. We used to watch this man here, Sebastian Bourdais, for Scuderia Toro Rosso when he was the 4-time world champion. Well, not at that stage, but he was on his way to becoming a 4-time world champ, Sebastian Vettel. We are hearing reports that Newgarden may have brushed the wall. Is it a brush or is it a hit?
He got out of the groove there, and if he didn't hit the wall, he got very close to it. That's just got out of the groove, and as soon as you're in the gray, Townsend, you're going for the wall, and you're very lucky if you get away with not hitting it.
And here's another car with an issue. Justin Wilson on pit lane. We're not sure what the problem is. Looks like an air gun issue on the right front. Katie? And there's Jimmy Vasser.
Katie's there.
And earlier we heard Vasser on the radio with Bourdais while we were at break, telling him you've got a lap up on the field, and even when they do have to pit.
Bourdais has lapped up to second. Jimmy having a little bit of communication with Sebastian over the radio. Jimmy, Sebastian has lapped up to second. Can you make it on one more stop?
Yeah, sure. We're well within the window. We're just getting ready to think about it right now.
All right, they're getting ready to figure out when he can pit next, Lee.
1998 winner of the Milwaukee Mile event,
right, well,
Jimmy Vasser.
Bring it in here. Bring it in.
There he goes. That's why he's frantic, because he's saying, righto, let's do it now, where we've got just over
+5 to the 20.
35 laps to run. Remember, this man has a lap on the field.
And he's going to be able to short fill and go to fresh tires, Paul. He'll be as fast as we've seen him after he comes
Just
out of this pit stop.
Don't speed in the pits. We need the guys just take it easy, get all the fuel, and let's get a nice stop here, and we can win this race.
David Hobbs, you ever pit for the last time in a race with a lap on the field?
I wish I had. I regret not.
They're all saving fuel, and you got tires. Let's go. Hey, Elio's in the middle of 3 and 4. He's P2.
He's going to beat him out. No problem. Back in the lead. No problem.
Takes care of the pit delta and sets sail without losing the lead.
Clear up +8.
This has been a remarkable day for KVSH Racing and Sebastian Bourdais.
Fresh tires, light fuel, back in the lead. Game, set, match, unless he makes a mistake.
But how about Castro Neves to be on the lead lap, only 1.5 seconds back after starting in last place?
Elio last pitted on lap 171. So the 3 we will see return to pit lane unless there's substantial yellow.
Unless there's a yellow, but that puts Tony Kanaan in that position, like Vasser mentioned, of trying to hang on, save fuel, and make it to the end.
I'll tell you one thing. As much as it pains me to say this, that was some of the most impressive driving I have ever seen Bourdais do on an oval.
Hang on, let's get you on the record here, Paul Tracy. You're speaking positively about your old sparring partner.
We talked a couple weeks ago and had a chat on the phone, and I told him he's been doing a great job this year. But what we just saw over the last 50 laps, that is impressive.
All right, 34 laps to go, bud. 34 to go.
Enjoy the drive,
says the man that used to go at him in a blue wrestling mask.
I tell you what, I mean, we used to go at it so hard and heavy, and I think, it was more on me, an insecurity of me just knowing, how am I going to beat this guy? I got to get in his head. I got to rattle him. I got to upset him. That was my game plan.
Here's our Chevy driver update and gives us a look at who's doing what. And at the moment, it's pretty good. Top 4, all Chevrolet-powered cars. Most importantly, the leader, Sebastian Bourdais.
And so what does that translate in terms of speed? Bourdais goes out of the pits, first time lap, 160 miles an hour. Everybody else is in the low 150s.
Yeah, he's back up to a 5-second lead now.
So the one who's going to drop out of the mix here is the second place Elio Castro Neves for Team Penske, because he pitted just too long ago. That'll elevate his good friend, longtime friend, Tony Kanaan to second place. Joseph Newgarden has an eye on a podium. But Newgarden too has to look after his fuel, because he pitted on lap 185. That's a 65-lap stint. So we'll see what Joseph Newgarden, the pole sitter today, can do. Ray Hall's looking good for a top 5. Dixon, so too is the case. And Marco Andretti's not out of the mix yet either. Englishman Justin Wilson returning to Andretti Autosport and will race these final 5 events of the season, but he's racing no more here today. What looked to be a blown motor on his Andretti Autosport Honda puts the big man out and on the sidelines, joining what is a growing list. As we welcome you back to the Milwaukee Mile, David Hobbs is here as our special analyst, Lee Diffie, along with Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Katie Hargett working pit road, along with Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee and Robin Miller. It's been a great day here in Milwaukee. Sunday afternoon, early evening race. And we've been treated to a classic display by that guy right there. Sebastian Bourdais has put on a clinic. However, with this late race caution, things are going to get interesting.
This is going to be a restart to watch, folks. If you had to get up, take a break, you're going to want to watch here because everybody's going to come in for fresh tires at the back of the lead lap. So they're laid out on pit lane.
So Jimmy just said they're staying out. We'll see how many guys, if this splits the field and puts cars in between himself and the guys that are going to take tires. This is crucial right here.
There goes Kanaan. Everybody, look at that, just about.
Oh, no, they've got guys coming from...
Montoya stayed out. Montoya last pitted. When did we see JPM come to pit road last? 198.
He's got a 4-car buffer, and Montoya has now positioned himself back to second place for the championship, which is critical.
Huge. I think all these guys figure if I'm going to beat Bourdais, I'm going to need fresh rubber to have a chance.
Well, they couldn't beat him last time. He rocketed away to a 17-second lead on used tires.
Whoa, that was close. Dixon chopped across in front of his teammate Tony Kanaan there. Newgarden was in the mix. It's a scramble off. Who did best?
Look at Graham.
Rahal gets 2. Dixon gets 2.
Newgarden again lost. He lost 4 on the last stop, 2 on this stop.
Here's the issue with the guys with fresh tires. They got to get by Montoya before you can get to Bourdais. Right, and he's tough. He's not going to give up easy.
Well, but Montoya's got 30 laps, maybe 25 some odd laps on those tires. He hasn't been nearly as strong as Bourdais. I'm liking Graham Rahal on this restart. Look at him back there in 6th position, along with Castro Neves. What a stop.
We've got a 25-lap shootout here. We know the restart's going to be crazy, hairy. You know, yellows breed yellows, as we saw earlier in the race. So, you know, this could play out, but it's going to be exciting.
You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger and proud sponsor of number 15, Graham Rahal. Back in a moment for the restart. As the shadows take effect here at the famed Milwaukee Mile, we welcome you back to our coverage of the Wisconsin 250. And we're all kind of sitting on the edge of our seats, rubbing our hands together, getting ready for this one to restart and what will unfold. 2 weeks ago at Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, we had one of the most spectacular IndyCar races you've ever seen, and then quite the dramatic finish. What are we going to get today here in Wisconsin?
Well, we've had 2 absolutely amazingly heads-up drives. First from Newgarden, who looked like he was set for a win from his first pole. And then Bourdais has just given everybody a driving lesson.
And when you've got to make decisions, it's tense times. There's a lot on the line. Let's take you inside the world of Marco and Father Michael Andretti.
You got to come in, right? Stay out. Stay out. I don't mean right now, Dad. I'm saying for tires. 30 laps is a long time.
Sounds like a conversation with my son.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what the thinking is there. If he's saying he needs tires and they wanted him to stay out, but I mean, this is going to be an interesting deal, or because if we look at the last restart, Bourdais was able to rocket away with some lapped cars in front, but now it's the end of the race. These guys are going to be charging harder,
and they've got new tires, and they've got obviously about the same fuel as he's got.
It's in pit road. We start with Katie Hargett. Katie?
Sebastian Bourdais decided to stay out there because they said clean air is more important than tire pressure. He's battling a little bit of a loose car, and once those tire pressures adjusted, he started 11th, restarted 16th, and it took just 16 laps for him to get the lead after that yellow. Kevin?
The group right behind Bourdais is all making something out of nothing. Montoya had a pit speed penalty earlier. Strategy got him back. Ed Carpenter was lapped early in the race by his teammate Joseph Newgarden, but he's gone off strategy. He didn't come in that time, so he's going to be on older tires, going to be a challenge. But then right behind them, Helio Castroneves is on the same strategy as the other leaders. He came in, he took tires, was the first out, so Castroneves has at least got a chance to score points and maybe more, Jan.
Yes, and Kevin, you talk about that group who came in and took tires, which will make them more racy. Now, Joseph Newgarden did come on pit road, and I believe he's the biggest benefactor of this caution. I do not believe, just like Townsend and Paul were talking about, I don't think he could have gone 65 laps. He needed a caution. So yes, he lost 2 on pit road for track position, but now he has enough fuel to finally go for it.
And keep in mind, guys, the restart that this young man made last time around. He went by Scott Dixon and others very abruptly on that opening lap of the restart.
I'll tell you what, though, Castroneves, Carpenter, Montoya, you will not find 3 guys that are harder to pass than those guys.
What about Ed Carpenter's day? Yes, he's on a different lap count strategy, but he started 3rd from last. And here he is inside the last 20 laps with perhaps a shot. It'll be tough, but perhaps a shot. We'll see. This restart is critical.
Oh, so many of these guys are going to be up in their seat, feeling like $1 million with fresh tires.
Is on a massive high from last week. He's the first guy on fresh tires, so a great opportunity for him to go 2 in a row here, and this is going to be crazy, Townsend.
This is ready, set, go. Get ready. Final 19 laps. We saw what happened 2 weeks ago. It was a thriller in Fontana. This is the Milwaukee Mile.
Green, green, green.
Good restart by Graham.
The oldest active track in the world is turning it on for us. Rahal goes through on the inside. Bourdais. Then it's Juan Pablo Montoya, his teammate. Helio Castroneves. Here comes Dixon up the inside. Carpenter thinks about a return move on Rahal. Couldn't do it, and around the outside goes Joseph Newgarden. What a move.
And there's your answer on tires. Ed Carpenter dropping like a lead sinker as Castroneves looks to the inside of Montoya.
Play it smart, Juan. This is not the guy you're battling in the championship. The guy you're battling is behind you. Power's out. Bring home the points.
Castroneves clears his teammate easily.
Good job.
Here comes Rahal and Newgarden, though. Keep your eyes on those next 2.
Go get him, man. Go get him.
Newgarden went wide there.
On board with Rahal. 16 to go.
And he'll get him here. Look at him
strong.
dig through the middle of the corner.
Strong.
Outside.
Montoya will battle back. Can't hold it.
There. Clear.
It took Graham Rahal 125 races to get his 2nd victory. Could he possibly get back-to-back wins in just 2 weeks?
There's been nobody this season that comes on stronger at the end of a race than Graham Rahal. Road courses, street courses, Fontana now this week, and he's got it the bit between his teeth. And there's another win on the table.
14 laps to go. Dixon on Newgarden now. Great move.
Wow, it looks like Newgarden's car is definitely suffering something, isn't it?
And guys, Castroneves is catching Bourdais. He's knocking off about 2/10 a lap. He's on the fresher tires, and he's coming.
Remember, Helio Castroneves did not qualify and started last. The dancing man is doing some very fancy work here, and Bourdais in trouble.
Bourdais loose.
Little loose, center off. Back on power. He's just got to keep the tires under him.
Wow.
Bourdais
Build the
Whoa!
You want to talk about loose? How about that?
That's one way to keep a guy behind you, is take the air off the front of his car.
Every lap that Helio Castroneves turns, he's setting a new fastest lap of the race.
Now he's got to, Bourdais got to rely on Jimmy's experience, his spotter's experience, as Graham Rahal is now coming.
Boy, he is coming.
Checking the throttle in the middle of the corner. He wasn't able to hold it wide open, but he's down on that slipperier more part of the track. But it is cooled off. The sun has gone down.
Oh, here he comes.
Woo!
Runs a little high.
Chases the thing up to the wall.
This is good news for Bourdais. The harder these guys push, the more they're wearing their tires, and they've gapped the rest of the field.
10 laps to go. Can Sebastian Bourdais hang on? Can Helio Castroneves do anything, or the Fontana winner, Graham Rahal?
Bourdais got to run the 10 best laps of his life here.
All clear behind.
Yeah, there's no pressure from behind whatsoever. That's a 5-second gap back there. These three are on their own.
Identical mix 2, then trim 3.
Said to Graham Rahal earlier this weekend,
Hey, we need trim 3, please.
you're fourth in points. Have you ever been fourth in Indycar? I don't think you have. And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, you were fifth back in the Newman Haas days. And he said, I guess it is the first time. This would move him to third if he stays where he is right now.
There'll be 8 laps to go.
He's trying his heart out, but those fresh tires, Bourdais' car has been so strong today. He's been able to just stabilize now. He's got a nice little gap to Castroneves, and I think, you know, his car has been phenomenal today.
1.4 seconds the gap now. Bourdais to Castroneves.
And right here, Graham's digging so hard in the middle of the corner, and Castroneves went a little bit lower than the previous lap, and that forced Graham to lift just a bit in the turbulence.
Nice line by Bourdais. He's using every bit of the track. He's up high on the entry. He's the closer to the wall on entry than anybody. Just floats it into the corner really nice, like a road course. Just barely touches that black part and just out to the wall here. Perfect line.
He handled the pressure from Helio Castroneves, and now with each lap as Castroneves is consumed with the Rahal challenge, the gap increases. Now out to 1.6 seconds. Newgarden returning the favor on Dixon.
Whoa.
And through comes Kanaan as well. The Ganassi boys dueling it out. This is a fight for a top 5. And Newgarden got it. Now here comes Marco Andretti. So after putting on a surge, Dixon's now lost 3 positions in one lap.
Loose on entry. See that,
yeah,
Townsend? The thing snapped out on entry on him.
Boy, it sure did.
5 laps to go here at the Milwaukee Mile. Make that 4. And Sebastian Bourdais now has a 1.7 second lead. It's looking more and more in favor of the Frenchman, who has led 114 laps today.
And now Castroneves, of course, has gone from charging Bourdais to now defending Rahal, and that allows Bourdais to just inch out even further.
He's come from last on the grid.
What a day for Castroneves. I would never have given him a chance of doing as well as that. That's extraordinary.
Montoya still hanging on to 4th. A great points day. If he can continue to hold off Newgarden, who's on the charge, this would be a great race for Montoya points-wise.
KVSH, Team Penske, and Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing.
Mix 2.
For Kevin Kalkoven, James Sully Sullivan, and Jimmy Vasser, the men behind this team here, have already seen victory lane and the top of the podium once this year at Detroit. The double-header. Sebastian Bourdais won one of those, and he is getting so close to his second of the season. One more lap, one more mile, and Bourdais will have it.
If he can hang on here, this will just be an outright driving lesson for the rest of the field.
He can coast from here. This has been nothing short of impressive.
We said at the beginning of the day, he has 33 career wins in IndyCar. Can he make it 34? The answer is yes. Sebastian Bourdais wins at the Milwaukee Mile. How about that? Dominating performance, 118 laps led.
Great strategy by Jimmy Vasser and the team.
Dixon and Marco Andretti fighting over that position, and Dixon wins out that 7th place. What a day.
drive.
Katie's there in amongst the celebrations.
Jimmy, your driver, Sebastian Bourdais, brought the green machine home for the second one of the season. How good does it feel?
Oh, this is awesome, especially to win here at Milwaukee. It's such a historic place. It was one of my favorite tracks when racing here, and the fashion he did it, we put ourselves on a different strategy that let him go, and everybody else was in the box saving fuel, and he left the field. That was awesome.
Kevin, as you watch Sebastian Bourdais lap the entire field here.
I was just amazed at how he drove through it. I mean, when he came out with his new tires, I mean, he came out, I think, in 8th place, and he was in 1st place in about 8 laps. It's just an amazing piece of driving.
A second win for Sebastian Bourdais this season, Lee.
Oh, fantastic performance. One back in 2006 here at the Milwaukee Mile.
Well, I told you in practice when I saw him going around, I said, that he looks good this weekend.
Yeah. And pretty cool, in the modern era, it's only been Ganassi and Penske and Andretti to win here. And for a team like KVSH to show what they're capable of, just an incredible performance.
Now be careful with that motor. You got to use that for a little while.
How about the back end of the car?
Yeah.
And at the age of 36, it's a very youthful celebration. It'll be great to hear from Sebastian Bourdais. We'll do that when we come back. France, it's pretty hard not to have a career in motorsport, and a successful one like Sebastian Bourdais with his kids Emma and Alex. What a special family moment. And wife Claire is right there as well. That is terrific. And that was some victory from Sebastian Bourdais, and some victory that these fans were treated to. They're all down there. We heard from Kevin Kalkoven and Jimmy Vasser. James Sully Sullivan is right there as well. Time to hear from our winner.
Lee, it's an absolute mob scene down here celebrating Sebastian Bourdais' 34th win. And with this win here at the Milwaukee Mile, he ties Al Unser for 7th in all-time wins in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Sebastian, have you ever had such a dominating win?
Yeah, here. 9 years ago. It's 9 years ago in that McDonald's car. You know, it was just like that today. Just unbelievable. It's what I was, we were talking about it yesterday, and it's these places, you know. Sometimes you got it, and when it's right, boy, it's really, really, really good.
You told me when you came back to the IndyCar Series that you were overcompensating for your driving and you were trying to do better than the car is. Did you have a first-place car today?
I think that's pretty clear. That's pretty damn clear.
You also said you like being the underdog and taking it to the bigger teams. How good does it feel to get a win over the likes of Penske and Ganassi?
Pretty sweet. You know, like we say all the time, when we get the job done and beat all these guys with what we got, a great group of guys and limited resources and great sponsors, you got to feel really good about it. And today we just executed and overcame what looked like a messed up, you know, break for us, and we just made it work on the track.
And Lee, it took 18 laps for Sebastian to get after that yellow.
Terrific moment to have his family there. Look at Jimmy Vasser. He's enjoying it like it was one of his victories in the driving days. But as an owner, it's doubly as good. So terrific. Just terrific. So hard. And it's their turn to celebrate. But I'll tell you what, it was a pretty impressive performance by Elio Castro Neves in second as well. Let's hear from him.
Yeah, Team Penske is pretty happy. Elio is here second. We'll talk to Juan Pablo Montoya, who finished fourth, in just a moment. I know, Elio, you came into this weekend desperately wanting and needing a win, but all things considered,
it was a great race. I mean, obviously the car was great, but the 11 seemed to be really fast. I don't know. I heard that he lapped everyone in the field, but one point I said, man, those guys in front of me, they don't have tires. I got to push, and I pushed as hard as I could. Just a little bit short, but in the end of the day, he got a good point for the championship. We'll probably move up a little bit and we'll keep going.
Juan Pablo extends his lead in the championship. You maybe had, did you have a chance to win this race if you didn't have the pit speed penalty?
I think early on we did. We could keep up with, you know, Bourdais pretty easy, and you know, yeah, we were with Bourdais there, and then at the end we made some changes and the car wasn't as good. But you know, everybody did. And Team Penske did an amazing job. Our Verizon Chevy was good again. I don't know what happened then I got a pit violation. I got there, I pressed the button, and for some reason it just didn't click. And when I got it back on the gas to get the pit right, went, boom, he jumped. I'm like, oh, here we go. Like I stopped, I'm like, don't worry about it, you're gonna hear it in a second.
You were on older Firestones late in the race. What's the challenge when somebody like Elio is coming up on fresher tires?
Well, that is not a problem because, you know, being a teammate, Elio, I wanted to see if I could hold him, and I noticed I couldn't, so go. Then Graham came, and he passed me, and then next guy was Dixon, and we had enough laps on the tires already where Dixon couldn't pass me, so made it fun.
Elio, this is probably a bittersweet place. You got your first podium here, won your first pole back in the 90s, but now this is second 3 times, and I understand that you've now finished second more than anybody else other than Mario Andretti. You passed Bobby Rahal for that, but so close.
Wow, what an honor. Again, this place is it's special for me. I mean, it's a great place. It's tradition. It's part of you know, the heritage of Verizon IndyCar Series. We got to keep coming over here. I hope you guys had a great fun. It was hairy sometimes out there, let me tell you. But in the end of the day, it was tough. I want to wish my dad a happy birthday, a friend of mine as well in New York is a happy birthday. Guys, next time I'll give you a better present first, but I'll take second today, especially where we started.
From 24th to second for Elio, Juan Pablo finishes 4th. Jan?
And a great drive today. Graham Rahal definitely in the mix, especially at the end. Those last few laps when you had fresh tires and you're pushing, that looked like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was good. We actually had scuff tires on there, and I was a little worried if some guys had stickers, but you know, we're pushing awfully hard, and I'm really, really proud of this Steak and Shake, Max, and DA Lubricant team. Everybody keeps working really hard and just putting ourselves in a position to succeed. And, you know, the car was pretty darn good there in the race. It was really unfortunate that, you know, that we just got behind Elio and Bourdais there. You know, I don't know how, but I guess through strategy and everything else. But this team, I mean, they put us in that position, right? I mean, we were, I don't know, 8th, 7th, and they got us 3 spots in the pits, and I got a couple more on the restart, and it was clear sailing from there. But you know, a good day of points, really good day in points. That's the whole objective right now, is just to keep putting ourselves up there in the points in the championship. I guess we're tied for third, but we're not far behind Dixon now, so we can smell it. We're going to keep pushing hard here.
We did just see that replay of the restart that you mentioned. The booth was talking about how you were able to force your way through there. You've been doing that this year without contact. They said it all comes down to confidence. Is that how you feel?
Yeah, just when I see a hole, I'm going to take it. And Wilson left a gap there on the inside, and I knew my car was one of the best down low there, right against the curb. So I was going for it. I mean, you know, at this point, I gotta beat these guys. And so sitting back and getting defensive ain't going to do any good for us. And so, you know, I just felt like there's a couple spots there, a couple opportunities, and other than that, I mean, you really just had to wait for your opportunity. So I knew on the restart was my best chance. But like I said, you know, I'm really, really proud of this team because these guys keep working hard. We were terrible here the last couple of years, and to come out of here with a third is like, it's better than a victory probably.
I know you're so proud of